everybody, my name is Roberta Peel. I'm the owner and artist at Oregon Trail Metal Stamps. We're a locally owned and veteran owned company. We're going to go over today a little bit of wire weaving. Okay, so aside from quality tools, I try and make sure I get you guys some tutorials to show you how to actually, continue on with your craft, whether it has anything to do with metal stamps or not. So what we did here, we've gotten 5 pieces of wire, and this is just just kind of a braid is what you're trying to accomplish here. We've got 5 pieces of wire. We got them as flush as we can down here at the bottom, got them as tightly grouped together as we can, and we taped it together. Really easy. That's your setup. Okay, so this is my vise that I'm going to be working on today, and see if I can get as close as possible so you kids can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, so in my vise I have a couple pieces of rawhide taped to either side of the jaws, because inside the jaws it's got a textured grip, and what that and it's not very good for holding your metal work. So I use this explicitly for everything from carving stamps to wire weaving to, if I have a piece that I'm really trying to get filed down or I just need to hold on to something, I'll use this for just about everything. Anyhow, so this is a really great tool to have. I think it was like maybe less than $30 at Ace Hardware. Alright, so the first thing you're going to notice that I'm going to do is make sure that the part that I'm going to put the wire on, this is close to the edge as I can get, but this part I use for my stamps, so it's kind of divoted. So I'm going to find a nice even spot, and then right at the top of the tape is where you want it flush to the top of your rawhide. Okay, just kind of torque it in there, get it a good grip. Alright, so your next step is going to be to bend your wires. You want these as straight as possible, but this is 18 gauge dead soft wires, so I'm not really terribly worried about it. It's being dead soft, it's easier to maneuver. If you're working with something like half hard or anything like that, you're going to find that you have a difficult time getting a uniform weave. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my very end piece, my very end wire. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit closer for you. Hey, there we go. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and start bending them back and forth, just alternating it. One goes up, one goes down, one goes up. Okay, so now you've got your wires all bent out, and this is the other reason why you want them as straight as possible, because they'll kind of hook on each other in the end. Alright, so the first piece, we're just going to go ahead and bend back up. I'm going to hold down the bottom pieces and the top pieces with my fingers, okay? It's not really a requirement, but it just sort of helps. And usually when you start a braid, you're going to find that it's not quite as uniform as you'd like for it to be in the very beginning, so I usually just clip that end off. But this is how we start it. We're going to go ahead and bend these up. And you want to keep these as close together as you can possibly keep them, okay? And that's just going to provide a really nice uniform braid. Now before I bend this right here up, I'm going to open up my jaws and drop it down to level and give it a little crimp. Okay? Now I'm going to pull this right here back up. You'll notice that I'll use my thumbs. Sometimes I'll use a pair of pliers if I can't get it quite upright and nice and tight. You want to make sure that your spacing in between your wires is, here, let me tighten this down. It's going to drive me nuts. You're going to want your spacing in between the wires to be as close together as you possibly can. Alright, and then we'll bend this right here back up. Push it right in between the middle. And then go back over and do it again. And this right here is a 5-strand weave. And we'll do a few of these just so you can see how nice it's supposed to look. Now, the thinner the wire, the nicer the weave that you're going to get. So that's something important to keep in mind. And then again, sometimes it's a little hard to get these level. Alright, we'll open the jaws back up, push it down to flush on the top. This is actually one of the ways that I got my start in metalsmithing. As I'm doing this, I'll just kind of give a little bit of background so we can get a little start on here and show you how this is supposed to look. Anyhow, so this is how I got my start. I started beading, and then I got into wire weaving and found that I really very thoroughly enjoyed it. And once you really get going, and with the thinner wire, you don't need to use the pliers or anything like that, but this is for, just intents and purposes. Show you guys how we do this. But I started off beading, ended up wire weaving, and completely fell in love with it, and just one day I wanted to solder my ends together and got started in soldering and started making rings out of these bad boys. It turned out really nice. Just push that a little bit. Okay. So as you do this and as you slowly progress, what you're going to find is that your braid itself, it's going to kind of canter inwards a little bit towards your vise and the bottom of the vise. Let me see if I can angle this down a little bit for you. Okay, so you're going to find that your braid, it's actually going to kind of canter inwards towards the vise, so just mind the end. And don't worry about how terribly straight that it is when you first pull it out, because you can always straighten it out when you're done with a pair of nylon jaw pliers. Now as you do this, your wire is going to get work hardened, and this is why we use dead soft. It's really important to use dead soft wire. And being as how this is a 18 gauge, you know, a much thicker gauge than what I usually use, I usually stick with like 24 gauge, just as a rule of thumb. Oops, keep grabbing my clippers. But I usually stick with 18 gauge as a rule of thumb, or I'm sorry, not 18, 24 gauge. It's much thicker, and it, you know, again, you're still going to find that it's going to get work hardened. So try not to bend the top part too much. Really, you just want to focus all of your work right here in the middle. So it's going to get hardened while you're working on this. It won't be dead soft anymore, but it's still going to be soft enough to where you can maneuver it when you get done with your weave. Now it seems like this sort of might be a technique that takes forever. It seems fairly tedious, but the end result's usually worth it. I mean, everything that we do in metalsmithing is going to be tedious, and this is no exception. But once you really get going and get a good pattern going on, you're going to find how much you really enjoy it. And again, with this thicker wire, it may not look as nice as it would if I used a thinner gauge, but you won't be able to see it so well in the video. So. And this is just for tutorial purposes anyways. I'm not trying to make anything out of it. So again, you'll notice that I'm really only trying to work as low down as I possibly can. And you might even be able to skip through some of this part while I actually just kind of get it going. Alright, we'll do one more after this one, so you guys can see how it looks. So your rule of thumb as far as length goes, a lot of people are probably going to want to know that. You know, I stick with about twice what I need. So, you know, if I'm going to make a 6-inch bracelet, I'm going to use 12-inch pieces of wire. Oh, hi Penelope. This is my shop mascot. Say hi, peeps. Alright, last one. But yeah, you'll find yourself in some real trouble if you mess around with the very, very top ends and you don't keep your fingers as close to the bottom when you're working as you can. Because then it's just going to get hard and it'll get out of shape, which it probably already is. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, so we'll just give this a really quick crimp. And it can get kind of cumbersome when you've got like a whole 12 inches on here. But what you're going to find is that you're going to have a really nice looking braid as you go. And it takes some time, but it's totally worth it. And then you'll also find that it kind of curves a little bit on you. You know, you might find that it's got kind of a weird swanky curve to it. And then the best thing to do is just take and put it down on on a block and just take some nylon, or take some nylon jaw pliers and just kind of bend it into whatever shape that you want to. And again, you might be able to see, like this right here is the top, and you'll see how it's curving in on you. Okay, so this right here is where it would be flush with the top of the vise. So this part right here down at the bottom, it'll curve in. But that's okay. It's not a problem at all. You can do this as wide as you want to do it. You can use as thick or as thin a gauge of metal as you want. You can go from 3 strands, I mean you can go all the way up to 24, it doesn't matter. But the thinner gauge wire that you use, the nicer it's going to look, okay, because it's easier to actually form in the center. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's just a real quick tutorial. Figured I was due for one. And if you guys need any help or any tips or advice, just get a hold of me at OregonTrailMetalStamps.com. Or on Facebook at Oregon Trail Metal Stamps. We have a really good deal going on now. You should check it out for metal stamps and tools. We'll make sure that this gets posted. And I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.